impeached. Presidential overreach. Laws are breached. Trump's impeached. Presidential overreach.
Thousands and thousands of women. It is a really cold day here at Columbus Circle in New York, but people have come out. You really were very strong in the terms of making it for women empowerment, for really standing out. How are you feeling today? And to see such a diverse crowd be represented, to really have that voice for women, what does that mean for New York and what does that mean for you?
It's extraordinary to have so many women coming out across race and gender and class, so many people coming out to support the cause of women. I mean, there are some serious issues in our society, and it feels like we're going backwards in terms of women's rights and equality, and it's really important that we come together and that we stand up together in a unified way to lift up our voices and demand what is right.
2020 is a really prevalent year. We are talking about elections. We're talking about a lot of representation. A lot is on stake, especially for people that really want to advocate for equal rights and justice. Where is your place in this? How are you advocating for that for this year? And for our community, immigrant voices are very important, and women of color are very important. What do you have to say in that regards?
Yeah, so I personally am actually running for mayor of New York City in 2021. But before that, we have to actually get through 2020. It's really important for women to come together across all classes, and particularly across race. We are struggling with inequality and disparities across the board, but the reality of it is that those disparities are not reflected equally in communities of color, for women of color. And so I think if we prioritize those of us who are struggling the most and who are the most marginalized, it is actually true that a rising tide lifts all boats. If we take care of each other, if we come together across all of those issues and take care of each other, together our power is so strong and we can make such a difference, but we have to come together, and that was part of my message today, really the need for us to lift up the women who need it the most, and the fact that once women do better, actually women take care of their families and women take care of their communities.
What I'm holding is my side, and it's very important what I say on this is because people don't listen to people like me because I'm Muslim and they think that we are terrorists. So I believe that we need a change from all of this stuff, and we deserve an equal chance as other people, and as well as people who are discriminated because of their race and other religions, and sometimes because they might look different.
Trump's impeached. Presidential overreach. Laws are breached. Trump's impeached. Presidential overreach.
What do you think this march really stands for in terms of you all, and what have you come here to sort of talk to in regards to Women's March Alliance?
So I think that the reason why the Women's March Alliance is important for me to support is to show that young girls, that their ideas, their frustrations, that they are valid and they can help other people. Through my campaign, 1,000 Black Girl Books, I've been able to collect 12,000 books where Black girls are the main characters and write my own. And I don't want my story to be just an exception and say that only Marley can be great, only Marley can make change. But I want to show to the young girls out there that it did start with just my idea. It did start with just something a story I just wanted to tell. And it's really important that I come out here and I support this organization, and I talked about how important it is as parents and for the Women's March Alliance themselves to make sure that young girls understand that they're important.
Your word of advice to immigrant young, Americans that may be facing everything from discrimination to, false accusation, to maybe bullying, or to just be a woman of color and face, any kind of obstacles. Any advice to the young faces?
I think for every young person out there, whether a person of color or not, there's a lot of times you hear outside voices and you feel very trapped and not secure in who you are. I do encourage reading. Maybe it's because I love reading, but if you are able to use both the resources I have online by following me and supporting me on Instagram, I can expose you to diverse authors, diverse readers, and diverse groups of people that tell your story. You don't want to feel alone. And sometimes it can be the microaggressions in school, it can be your parents, it can be social media, but using tools and taking that time to sit down and read a book and feel less alone is a really important way that you can just start to feel more confident in the skin that you're in.
Assalamu woman, I know you are here to support the cause. I know you're here to support New Yorkers as well. Tell me how you're feeling and how important it is that we see this amount of women even in this weather in New York City.
First of all, it's a cold day in New York City. I'll tell you that. It's a cold day. But look at this crowd. Look what is happening today. Thousands of women have come out in the cold. Thousands of women have braved the cold. And why are we here? If you want to know why we're here, look at the signs. Women are the one who are keepers of our homes, our communities, our jobs. Every corner of this society, women are the one doing the work. So today is important because women need to band together. This is a march of unity. And that is why we're here, and we're saying no to war. We're saying no to sexual violence. We're saying no to misogyny. We're tired of the world, doing certain things at our expense.
What is on agenda for you for this year in terms of really, advocating women of all communities? 2020 is a really important year. We're just here to sort of get some, views on how the public viewing us right now should sort of look at this year, sort of advocate their thoughts and opinion, especially again for women. How should we come out in numbers, and your agenda especially, I would love to know.
Well, I really appreciate you asking that question because one of my top priorities for this year is economic empowerment. And if I may be honest, when we talk about economic empowerment, we're talking about most of the time women-led households. We're talking about women being able to support their families, women being able to work, women being able to pay their bills, women being able to start a small business, women having opportunity. And we're talking about poverty. We're talking about housing justice. So when I look at my community, I see women's faces attached to all of the problems which have been plaguing our community for many years. And when we empower that one woman, when you make sure that one woman is okay, that she can feed her family, that she can pay her bills, that she can work, that she can live with dignity, then you have restored an entire community.
How do you think we should advocate our voice? Women that are watching you right now on ITV Goals, how do you think we should sort of, participate in the fight? What is our participation supposed to look like?
So the only way you can really do is by uniting with other women and collaborating together as a force, because we have this tradition of if you take one little stick you can break it like this, but if you put it in a bundle it's very hard to break the bundle. So we have to bundle together and work together, because it's not just immigrant women that are suffering, it's white women that are suffering as well, because I travel a lot and I know what's happening in America. So people are suffering from all sorts of issues. There's incarceration, there are, crimes against women that are unbelievable right here in the United States. So if we women do not come together as a force, whether we're immigrant women, Asian women, black women, Latina, and white women together, and that's what the march is about, because the march is representative of all these women.
What do you have to say your experience has been as being the chief, diversity officer, and also, what matters to you in terms of your position and how you are sort of advocating that voice, especially when you are showing support to Women's March Alliance and making it very clear that we are here for everyone?
Listen, I come in the office, I work every day with the comptroller to ask one question: are women and people of color sitting at the table? Yeah. And we look at the C-suite, we look at whether the buying power of government is being utilized to make sure that we are building wealth. Yeah. And we ask those hard questions through the lens of finances. And I think one of the most amazing parts of this job is that not only are we advocating, but we are seeing